I think Las Vegas has to be careful that it doesn't just focus on events and sport.
I feel like I gotta call you out a little here. I mean, you were still around when this shift happened. I mean, you were in those meetings, right? Do you feel responsible, at least in part, for the Strip taking a nosedive? Yeah, fair question. Look, it's not like I woke up one day and said, let's kill Vegas. But yeah, I was in the room. I signed off on some of those changes. I can't deny that. So walk me through that. What was it like when, say, resort fees were first pitched? Oh man, I remember that meeting. Some consultant comes in with charts saying, if we tack on a $25 per night fee, we'll add X million in revenue. A lot of us thought, no way. Guess what? Revolt. But the corporate guy said, test it. And guess what? People paid. And once they paid, that was it. Every property copied it. And you signed off on that. Yeah. And I justified it to myself by saying, well, we need the revenue. Gambling isn't what it used to be. But deep down, I knew it was the beginning of the end of that old Vegas vibe. So you're saying you are complicit? I mean, yeah, if I'm being honest, yeah. But if I didn't play along, I'd have been replaced by someone who would have. It was adapt or get out. That's the ugly truth. That's heavy, man. You realize some people watching this are probably going to say, you guys ruined Vegas. They wouldn't be wrong. I carry some of that guilt, but I also know it wasn't just me. It was an entire system, an entire culture shift. One exec can't stop that tidal wave. Hey, hope you're enjoying the interview so far. A reminder to be respectful toward our guest. I can already hear some of you typing away in the comments about how guys like this are responsible for blah, 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 blah. Now, look, I totally get it. But if I want to do this interview thing again with even higher up people in the future, I can't have them come in and be terrified or afraid because the previous guy got roasted too hard in the comments. Regardless, I'm all about free speech, so I can't stop you anyway. Criticism is perfectly okay, but please try to keep it respectful, guys. Anyhow, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for all things Vegas. Let's get back to the interview. Okay, so let's get into some of the real behind-the-scenes stuff. You were in those rooms, you heard the conversations. What's one moment that really made you think, oh, things are changing and not for the better? There's a few, but the first one that comes to mind is when we rolled out paid parking. Oh yeah, that one still pisses people off. Trust me, it pissed us off too, at least the old school guys. I remember sitting in this conference room, and a couple of the veteran execs, guys who've been around since the 80s, were flat out saying, this is suicide. Vegas was built on free parking. You don't mess with that. Like, yeah, they're right. I mean, free parking was sacred. But then corporate rolls in with a PowerPoint, charts, projections, all that Wall Street stuff. They're like, we'll make $30 million extra per year across the properties. People might complain, but they'll pay. And they were right. They were right. And the kicker, after the first quarter, when the revenue reports came in, those same veteran execs who swore it never worked, they just kind of went quiet because the money was too good. Once that hit the books, every other casino followed. So that was like a domino effect? Exactly. One property did it, it worked, and boom, within a year, the entire Strip was charging. That was the moment I thought, okay, we've officially crossed into new territory. That's brutal. Any stories about food or drinks? Because that's another one I hear a lot. People saying, man, I used to eat like a king for 10 bucks. Now it's $50 for a buffet. Oh yeah, I remember when they decided to kill the cheap buffets. That was another heated debate. Old-timers were like, the $9.99 buffet is a Vegas tradition. People come here for that. And the new school was like, why are we losing money on food? Raise it to $29.99. And the argument was the same, right? People will complain, but they'll still pay? Bingo. And they were right again. That's the part that still bugs me. Every time we tested the limits, the public proved us right. which just encouraged corporate to push even harder. So you're saying we, the customers, kind of trained the casinos to rip us off? I mean, you said it, not me, but yeah, in a way. As long as people kept coming, there was no incentive to pull back.
The more historic response has been cutting programs.
Look, I came into the business because I love the Vegas experience. That feeling of walking into a casino and knowing, even if you only had $100 in your pocket, you were going to be treated like royalty. That was the magic. It wasn't about making them feel special anymore. It was about seeing how far we could push them before they broke. And once you start thinking like that, that's a different Vegas. I remember thinking, we're still making money, but it's not the same kind of money. Before, when someone lost $200 at the slots, they didn't mind because they'd gotten free drinks, a cheap steak, maybe a comped room. They felt like they got value. After the changes, they lost $200, and on top of that, they had to pay $25 to park and $50 for a buffet. That leaves a bitter taste. Yeah, it doesn't feel like fun money anymore. It feels like getting ripped off. Exactly. And that's when I thought, we're killing the goose that laid the golden egg. Vegas was built on this idea that you give a little to get a lot back. We flipped that formula. So in your mind, that was the turning point. Yeah, that's the night I said to myself, Vegas will never be the same city again, because once corporate sees they can get away with something, they never go back. There's no reverse gear. You sound almost guilty when you talk about it. I am a little, because I didn't fight it. I played along, and yeah, part of me knew it was wrong, but another part said, well, the guests aren't walking away. They're still smiling. They're still playing. And that's the tragedy, right? They didn't realize what was happening, but we did. So you're saying people were partying, celebrating, thinking they were getting the old Vegas, but behind the curtain, it was already over.
That's exactly it. Vegas was on life support and nobody knew it. So let's shift gears a little. Something that blows my mind, and I hear this from viewers all the time, is that the Strip looks emptier than ever. You walk through on a weekday and it's like a ghost town compared to what it used to be. But then you look at the numbers and somehow revenue is up, fewer people but more money. How does that work? Is that just Vegas leaning harder into high rollers? Yeah, you nailed it. And let me preface this. I've been retired for a little while now. I don't sit in those boardrooms anymore, but I still talk to old colleagues, guys and gals who are still up there in the C-suite, and it's the same story. Fewer but richer. Back in the day, we measured success by heads and beds. You wanted every hotel full, every casino floor packed, even if half the people were playing nickel slots and eating at the buffet. Volume was king. But now the strategies shifted. They realized they could make more money off fewer guests by squeezing harder. Higher room rates, higher minimums, higher drink prices, more fees. Instead of 100 people spending $200, they'd rather have 40 people spending $600. That's wild, though, because it feels like it goes against the DNA of Vegas. It used to be a place where literally anyone could come and feel like they belonged. Now it feels like only a certain kind of traveler is welcome. That's exactly it. The philosophy changed from accessible fun for everyone to premium destination for the few. They want that international high roller crowd, the conventions, the guys dropping $50K in a weekend. And sure, the balance sheets look good, but the Strip feels dead because you lose the energy that comes from the masses. Here's something people don't always realize. When you pack the Strip with average folks, families, budget travelers, groups of friends pooling their money, you create atmosphere. You create noise, movement, excitement. That energy is contagious. It makes everyone spend more. You lose that, and even if you're making the same money, it feels hollow. So in your opinion, are we at a tipping point here? Like can the Strip survive long term with this fewer but richer model? Look, I don't have a crystal ball, but based on the trends I saw before I retired and what I still hear from people I trust, I think they're playing a dangerous game. High rollers are fickle. They can go to Macau, Singapore, Monte Carlo tomorrow if they feel like they're getting a better deal. Meanwhile, the middle class, the lifeblood of Vegas for decades, they're already walking away. Once you lose them, good luck getting them back. I want to talk big picture now. A lot of people watching this aren't just frustrated about Vegas, they're frustrated about America. They'll say what's happening on the Strip is what's happening everywhere else. Prices go up, quality goes down, the average person gets squeezed out. Vegas used to be the ultimate playground for the middle class. Now it feels like the middle class is just dying out. So let me ask you straight. At what point do the execs stop chasing year-over-year growth? Stop trying to pump those numbers up quarter after quarter. Do they ever stop to think, hey, maybe we're part of the reason regular Americans are going broke? Man, that's the million-dollar question. The truth, no, they don't stop. They can't stop. The whole system's built on growth. Every quarter, every year, you got shareholders, investors, board members breathing down your neck. If profits aren't bigger than last year, Wall Street punishes you. The CEO gets blamed, heads roll. So it's not even about what's right or what's sustainable. Execs aren't sitting there thinking about the middle class or the long-term soul of the city. They're thinking, what number do I need to hit this quarter so I keep my job? That's the game. So you're saying it's like the death of the middle class is just collateral damage. Yeah, in a way, it's not that anyone sat in a boardroom and said, let's kill off the middle class. It's more subtle. It's a bunch of little decisions. Raise fees here, cut comps there, charge $25 for a cocktail, $50 for parking. Individually, none of it feels like the end of the world. But stack them all up and suddenly a middle-class family says, we can't afford to come to Vegas anymore. And look, Vegas is just a reflection of America right now. Everything's been financialized. Airlines, hotels, sports tickets, even groceries. Everyone's chasing short-term gains at the expense of the everyday person. Vegas just makes it louder, more obvious, because it used to be the one place where the average Joe could feel like a king for a weekend. Not so much. So basically, the dream was sold out and the people who couldn't afford to keep it anymore. Yeah, and that's what I mean when I say it feels like the beginning of the end of the Vegas I knew. Once you turn your back on the people who built you, the energy, the magic, it doesn't come back easily. You can replace bodies with high rollers, but you can't replace the soul they brought.